to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ray, I need a little heads up to get the recorder going.
I'm sorry.
I missed your opening.
I'm sorry. Okay, before we get started this evening, we have a couple of conversations we need to have in executive session regarding pending litigation and contract negotiations. So, I'd like a motion to go into executive session. Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, I'll entertain a motion out of executive session.
So moved. Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Move on to approval town board minutes. Anybody have any questions, comments, corrections?
Move to approve.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, Mary, let's start with your clerk report, please.
Okay. Town clerk's report for July 2020. Community house lease, $1,000. Planning board, lot line adjustment applications, $200. Site plan application, $200. Dog licenses, $10. Town clerk fees, vital statistics, death certificate copies, $20. Solid waste, $1.50. Interest, 2 cents. Total check for general fund, $1,431.52. Trust and agency, escrow for William Cole for the planning board, $2,500. Paid to Columbia County Solid Waste, $18.50. Paid to New York State Department of Agriculture and Markets, dog licenses, $4. So the total for July, $3,954.02.
Okay.
What I have for that.
Thank you, Mary. Accept your report.
Okay.
We'll move on to correspondence to the web committee. Anybody have any questions, comments, or complaints to the web committee? Uh-oh, we have one.
A compliment.
Compliment.
Website?
All right.
On the website, looking for something. It was easy to get into and looks nice and neat.
And you found the information you wanted?
No, because it said I had a bother Mary. But I may make a suggestion
Yes?
that the subdivision regulations from 1980 something or other should be in there. And application night has been turned down by the ZBA. So that has to be stricken from the,
They're not doing
There's no more
application night any
application.
longer?
No, right? You guys terminated it?
pardon
You
me?
terminated application night?
Yes.
It was a vote of the 5 of us, it was a vote 4-1.
Okay.
Is this a permanent thing or just for the
Permanent,
COVID?
apparently permanent.
Okay.
They didn't want to be bothered. I, as a new member, have found it to be very helpful and helpful to the people who are getting the application.
Okay.
But the rest of them didn't want to be bothered with the extra night.
Most towns do not have an
I
application
can't
night.
hear you, but you can have to do it very loud.
Most towns do not have an application night, either for zoning board or planning board. Claremont does not have one for the planning board. And while it may have been helpful to some people, it was determined that it was not worth the effort. And people that want to approach the zoning board will come directly to them without going through application night.
Anyway, the point is that application night no longer exists.
I'll pull that from the website then.
And also, it might be helpful to have the application to ZBA and the planning board on the web, so people can print it out, so they don't have to come and bother Mary.
No, it
Like
should
I
be, they
did.
should be on there.
As I said, it should be.
It is, I tried to,
All right.
I think it's forms,
okay,
is the column, is the,
I'll look again,
yeah, forms.
but no more application night. The web, it looks very neat and clean, and I got into it.
All right. That's good news. Thank you. All right, move on to committee updates, reports. Bob?
Yeah, a couple of things I'd like to know. One, first of all, the pathway up to the Veterans Monument, and we talked about that quite a bit in the last couple of meetings. And I'd like to recommend tonight that we go with the shorter, more direct path straight up. I did talk with our engineer when he came for the planning board meeting. We walked over and took a look at it, and he felt that that was the better way to go. It's a lot less work and material for the highway department to build it, and there are some advantages to have it. It should meet the ADA slope requirements, because it's the length is a little over 100 feet, and it's probably about 6 feet or 7 feet of rise to the top of that hill. So it should be, if it doesn't actually meet it, it'll be very, very close. And I know there's been some discussion about whether we should come up in front of the monument or behind the monument, which is where the path I'm recommending goes. And there's one reason I think it's better to come up behind, so that you don't mess up the vegetation, the grass in front of the monument with a, a blank trail coming up there. And it also allows us, if we put picnic tables and benches up there, that you can go either way. You can come around to the front of the monument, or you can go to the benches or the picnic tables, which will be put up eventually. So all in all, I think it's a better approach. And at some point, I'd like to make a motion to that effect tonight. I don't know if you want to do that now or under old business or new business, or.
You can do it, yeah, that's fine, we can do it now if you want, that's fine.
All right.
Ray, you were gonna speak to the highway department about the additional costs for the recommended path? Did you get any
I
feedback?
spoke to him, it was minimal additional cost, but it was more time consuming and more involved to do it, to wrap it around and cut into it. Because basically, if you go up and around the hill, you have to level the path. So it means you have to cut into the slope a little bit to make sure the path is level, because you can't have a path on the side hill. So he says there's quite a bit more involved to put it in, and he felt it was much easier to do a straight path. So, and he felt more comfortable doing that as well. So what Bob is saying is correct. It's going to be much easier, less expensive to put the straight path up than to try and bring it around the hill. So
And it's going to be easier for people to do. I mean, I've pushed wheelchairs up hills, but if you have to make a turn, that's more difficult than just going straight through. So I think all in all, it's a better.
and we did not get the grant. I remember you sent
No,
that
we
email
did
around,
not.
so
We
we got
did
no
not.
grant to help
Yeah,
us
that's
on
correct.
that. So
We did not.
One of the things that George mentioned when he and I walked out there before the last planning board meeting was a lot of times people like to have winding trails, because you don't see a lot of the other people that are on the trail, so you get the idea the feeling that you're there, on a not too populated trail. But whereas on this short span, the short trip up there in the open, you're not going to, really have any benefit of that anyway.
My understanding was that Amy was concerned about erosion on the path
Right.
by having it at such a steep angle, and
Oh, the other one would be steeper, and there'll be erosion. If there's erosion, there'll be erosion there too. If we get erosion, and I think we probably should put the stabilizer in that Amy had recommended. I did mention that to Jimmy. I didn't get a commitment. I don't know if you've talked to him about it.
yeah, they'll put a road stabilizer, same thing down.
And if it turns out that, eventually we can't keep it stabilized, that either one of them would have the same problem, and we'll have to do something different, either blacktop or concrete or something. But hopefully, when I talked to him, he didn't seem to think it would be that much of a problem.
No, I
But
mean,
it certainly, like the rainstorm we're gonna get tomorrow, could be a problem for a lot of places.
And where is the path going to originate?
The last 3 parking spots on the west side of the parking area, the 2 of them would be designated as handicap spots, and the middle one would be cross-hatched out, and it would start from there. And I had put a string up at one time and tried to pull it tight to show what the grade would be. And hopefully it'll be able to, make a constant grade, and it will be meeting the ADA requirements as far as grade for handicap.
I think people are gonna walk up to the front of the monument regardless.
Oh,
So-
that's fine,
Yeah.
they can do that, they can do that.
I also think Amy was talking about it as a progression of meeting things along the way. So she was starting hers by where we were going to place the signs, which was between the two roads, in the center of the end of the parking lot, so that it would give you incentive to go by the rules and the hours and all the other information that
Well,
users need, so then you.
That's the next thing I wanted to talk about, is the placement of the signs. And placing the signs at the south end of the parking lot really is the worst place you could put them. Okay, because people, especially people that drive in and use the overflow parking, they're not even gonna see that they're there. And they're not gonna walk out there. My thought was to put them on the north side of the entrance way. I think Ray had what is probably a slightly better idea, and I think that was talked about at the last meeting, to put them at the corner of where the entranceway comes in and then goes on to the overflow parking and the parking lot. If you put them in that corner on a slight angle, people going by on the overflow parking will see them, and if they want to read more detail, they can come back when they when they go out and pull in and read it. People that pull into the parking area will see it as they pull in, and it's in a good spot for them to look at as they go to the games.
How many signs are there with the rules about parking that you're talking about? The small one, Bob?
There's two signs.
I know, but you're talking about the smaller ones,
We're
right?
talking about
One of
two.
each, one of each. Yep.
Oh, one of these. Okay.
And this one, I think, is one that should definitely be at the corner that I mentioned that Ray had suggested last month, and on somewhat of an angle. And Jimmy said he can mount it. He'll mount
Where
it
the
on-
cars are parked?
Yeah, at the where the junction of the parking lot on the north end of the parking lot and the access road as it goes on past the parking lot and into the overflow parking.
Kind of near where the porta toilet was.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think that's the most visible spot because, if people aren't walking to the Veterans Monument, they're not gonna walk down to that end and look at the signs. I mean, most people are walking to go to the back.
If you're driving in, you're not gonna stop and read the sign.
No, but this will be at the end of the park,
Right. And once you
outside.
park your car, you'll be able to see all the rules.
Right.
I think the main argument against putting it there is that just to preserve sort of the view of the mountains without having the sign right in the middle. And I actually hadn't thought of that, but I think it's
There's-
worth consideration. I do think people will be curious about what the sign says and will come over and view it. I have no problem with what the park committee has suggested. They put a lot of thought into it. So I think we
Well,
should go
I
with
put
their
a lot of thought
recommendation.
into it also, and I visited a lot of parks
Mhm.
and seen signs that are on the entranceway as you go in. And you can read a good part of it, and if you don't get it all the first time by, you can either stop or you get the rest of it the second time by. And I think to put it out there where people are coming in is a much better result. All right? And this one will go up there very easily, and the top of it, in the large print, will be readily read. This one is a little smaller, and the printing is smaller. And this is the one that says park open sunrise to sunset. And my thought is that really should be out near the entrance way, but I don't know if it's standing out there by itself. And people go by it and they won't see the rest of the writing, so maybe it could be put back to this one. Either put beside it, or maybe if you put a longer pole on the north side of this, and this one probably only needs to be mounted on one pole. So
So in other words-
it could be mounted up on top like this, or it could be mounted on the side.
Bob, so in other words, what you're suggesting is when I come into the park, I'm gonna see those signs.
Yes.
Okay. So one of the things that the committee suggested, since there's going to be more than one sign, we have 4 of them, they're gonna be placed in different places.
No, the two are for this, the Hetling Park, and 2 are for the Claremont Park.
Right, right. But the thing is, you don't want to, it was very important for us not to disturb the view. So when you come into that beautiful park and you see the sunset, you know, that's what you want to look at. not
And
the
there's
sun.
plenty of view of the sunset. The signs are not
But
going
I'm
to
just-
obstruct that
Just
view.
telling you what the committee was concerned about.
Yeah.
The park will be closing by then, right?
Mary, did you have a
Sunset.
thought as our former chair?
My one suggestion would be that wherever they get posted, instead of being up here, bring them lower down. That way you aren't blocking views. It's immediately seen as people are driving. It's at their eye level.
At a windshield level, right?
Yeah.
The proposal of the committee was that they would be mounted on two separate posts on basically the side of the path going up to the Veterans Monument. So it would be very clear entrance to the park where you would receive guidance as to the norms and requests from the board.
More people are coming in to watch ball games than are going up to the Veterans Monument. The only time that a lot of people go to the Veterans Monument is on Veterans Day.
At the ball field, I think it makes complete sense to put wherever they should go, right by the parking lot. I'm just saying, right by the other parking lot. Why not just do what the committee has requested and put it on the south side there?
Because it's totally out of the way. People that are driving in are not, and parking in the lot, they're not even going to look at it, especially the ones coming in for the overflow parking. That just doesn't make any sense at all to me.
I do think that most people that come in, I do think that most people that come into the park are just walking back, back west to the soccer field or the back field or the paths. I don't think, that's why I don't think it's the best spot either on the south side, because I just don't think everybody's gonna funnel their way over that way. To me, everybody that comes is just walking straight back. So I would think we'd want it where you can either see it, when you pull in or when you walk back instead of trying to walk all the way down to the end.
When I was there last, there was somebody who came in and they were doing some running out on the soccer, just one person. But when he came in, he parked right at the north end of the parking lot. And then, so I think I'm in line with that, because he didn't come down he didn't drive down at all. He pulled in that first parking space right out on the north end. He just kind of jarred right in there, and then he went out onto the field. So anything on the south end, he
I've
wouldn't
seen
ever
people
see.
do both things. There's one person who always backs in the south end.
Really?
For whatever reason, yeah, and then sometimes
Oh,
like the
okay.
back
And
parts.
that person that backs in on the south end will see the sign as they go by, even though it's on the north end. But the person that parks at the north end is gonna be oblivious to what's on the south end.
I think somebody's gonna miss the sign regardless. The committee has given us a thoughtful recommendation, and I think that we should go ahead.
I agree with what Mary's saying, definitely that, keep them lower. I think you'll get
Yeah.
more visibility than if you have something that's.
Yeah, I agree, especially if you're
Side
in
by
a car
side.
driving in
Right,
and it's
right.
at your windshield level, and so, but I do agree on the northern side where, before you enter, that's where people are gonna
That's
see
where you
it,
should see it.
or everyone will see it, or more people.
And I think
It's
that's
a
the-
very simple sign. If we don't like it, we can move it. That's one thing we can look
Yeah,
at. It's
that's
a little
true.
simple post that goes in. If it really upsets
That's
a lot of
true.
people and nobody looks at it, we could always move it. So it's not like we're just putting something that's never
That's a
gonna be
good
moved.
point.
So,
Why don't you get another sign, both of them, one end and the other, and that ends it.
there you go. You
okay?
can do that.
And keep it low so you don't disturb the view.
All right.
So
So,
I think definitely the big sign needs to go at that corner that Ray had suggested last month. And the smaller sign, I'm not sure exactly how to position that with the big sign. In fact, I wish that one had been a little bigger also, because particularly when it says park open sunrise to sunset, that's something that everybody should see as they come in, that, when the park is open. But
I would think you'd mount it off to the side and centered on the other one. I don't know. Does that sound make sense?
Did you see the committee did a mock-up of the two signs together, and I think that was the intention, that one is centered.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
You have to look at the book.
Okay, all right.
Get a
All
motion.
right, so you want a motion to put the signs at the corner?
If we need one, sure.
I still don't understand where you're recommending. You want to have it on the north side, on the northwest side, the northeast side? I certainly do not want the signs on the way in on the
North.
driveway, because that does not, no
No,
one's going to read them.
they'll be near the, just past the parking lot, just past the west side of, the northwest corner of the parking lot,
Mhm.
and angled a little bit so that as the people are going by there to the overflow parking, they'll see it out of the corner of their eye also and know that it's there. And if they don't read it all on the way in, they'll know that they can look at it on the way out, or they can look at it as they're walking around watching the ball game.
You're on this, in the Hetling Park side.
Yes. Now, in the Claremont Park on Route 6, we haven't really determined where the best place is for for that one. I want to wait till we get the bumper strips up that you're going to talk about under new business
Mhm.
also, I think.
Yep.
And then see once those are in, to see where's the best place that people will see them as they drive in, and convenient to read them as they walk to the game. And so I'd like to get the two on the Hetling Park up soon, and let the others wait a little bit until we have a better idea of where the bumper strips are gonna go.
On the Claremont Park, Claremont Park location, Amy did mark it with flags, and I didn't see, so I don't know exactly where that was, but she did mark it. And I would just also mention that she is a real professional planner and landscaper, and she's put so much time into this. And I feel like you're going to lose some of her enthusiasm if you don't begin to take any of her.
Yeah, I looked for flags in Claremont Park, and I did not see them. I don't know where they were.
She told me she put them there, I didn't see them
I had heard that
myself,
she
but-
did, but when I went over and looked, I didn't see them.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Ellen brings up a very good point. We have someone who's volunteering her time, hours and hours and hours of time, and we can't even take her recommendation for where to put the sign based on her decades of experience putting up signs all over Bard campus. Honestly, I think that when we're asking volunteers to do this, we need to take their feedback seriously.
I think the responsibility lies with us to put them where we think is best.
That is certainly the case, but I feel like the committee's recommendations should be taken seriously.
They were looked at, but I looked at it several times. And I went over specifically to look at Claremont Park to see where the flags were, and I didn't see them.
I didn't see the flags either, I looked for them.
But I did
also.
see the flags in the Hetling Park, and I think it's, for the layout of that park, it's the wrong place to put them. Sorry.
I was just wondering, excuse me, when you had that meeting with the engineer, did you invite Amy to join you?
I just happened to meet him as he was coming in for the planning board meeting, and we walked over and looked at it.
Well,
Now, I did walk over there with Amy. We spent a couple hours there,
good.
and we had come to an agreement that the pathway up, the short, low slope pathway was the best one. And the next thing I know, without any warning, I saw the letter that apparently the committee had convinced her to write or something, and saying
No,
that she had.
she
different
wrote it
ideas.
because she was genuinely concerned about the location of the path not being
Well, I don't know
actually
what changed her mind,
accessible
because she
to
was
the-
not that concerned with it when I met with her, because we talked about the picnic tables on the top, the benches, and coming up behind the monument so that we would have access to both of them. And as I left there and she was going back to her watering, I thought we were in agreement, and she told me that she was gonna tell the committee at the next meeting that we had agreed, and that's where it should be. And then, for some reason, she changed her mind.
Well, that's not what she communicated at the meeting.
Well,
Yeah, we were all there, Bob. Yeah.
you weren't all at the meeting that I had.
No, but we were all there with the meeting with Amy. That's why we're raising these questions. It's not for being hostile, we have someone who is a professional, and we don't want to dampen her enthusiasm.
Well, and not to take away anything from Amy at all, but everyone on the committee has put in a great deal of work into
Yes.
this. So
That is
I do
certainly the
think
case.
that we really need to seriously take into consideration the
Anyway.
recommendations that they make.
At this point, the motion is on the floor for the signs. Was there a second?
Was there a motion?
You made a motion
Yeah,
to put the signs in the other corner?
yeah.
Okay. A
The
second?
northwest corner of the
I'll
parking lot.
second, this is based on where Ray was talking about and
Yes.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Nay?
We do a roll call,
2 nays.
so I hear everybody,
Roll call vote?
I
To
guess.
where to put signs up? Holy Jesus. All right.
Well, no,
Roll call.
if we're all in favor, because I can't hear.
No, there's 2 opposed, so.
Okay, so we want to do that. So
All
we've
right.
got 3.
So Bob,
All right, Bob,
Chris,
okay,
myself,
yourself. Okay.
Dawn,
All
and Lindsay.
ayes. And we've got Dawn
Very
and
good.
Lindsay. Okay,
Okay.
all right,
Okay, now the next,
thank you.
the next motion is to do the straight line path up to the, coming up behind the monument and in between the monument and other things that are gonna be put up there.
Straight
Yeah,
line.
I've been out there about 3 times. I saw where Amy marked off where that was. And I think this smallest angle, like Bob said, is the straight path.
Okay.
So that's a second.
That's a second.
Motion
Is that a
is-
second?
Motion and a
That's a
second.
second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Roll call vote again, same thing.
Same thing? Okay. All right, and that was a straight line pass up to the monument
Yes.
and to around the back
Coming
of
up,
it?
coming up behind it, so in between the monument and benches and picnic tables that'll be put in.
Okay. I think pretty much the way we walked up it,
Yes.
on Veterans Day, straight up and around. Okay.
Yeah, it's the least inclined, it's the
Right.
easiest.
Which
least
I can do.
inclined.
Very
well.
We know that with my accident.
I don't disagree with the committee's recommendation on that. I think it would look nice to go up and wrap around.
Yeah.
I just, the implementation of that would be more difficult, more time consuming, and our highway department probably would not be able to do that. So that's why I feel that the straight path with the least amount of incline is the best way, so. But I do appreciate the committee's input. We don't want to discourage the committee. We're certainly not going to agree with everything the committee puts forward, but we certainly will discuss it and come up with hopefully the best solution that works. So, that being said, we'll move on. Okay, you got anything else?
I see, Jimmy will mention, I'd like to see him get the culvert in pretty soon so that it can, kind of settle in before he does the rest of the pathway.
Yep. Okay,
And, I think that's enough.
you done? All right. Lindsay?
Yes, well, I wanted to start, we can talk about, there's a couple more park issues, but I just wanted to make sure I got to, some, research around HEPA filters that I did. I would very much like us to have a HEPA filter or 2 actually in this room, as another, precautionary measure. People are in this, actually was particularly concerned in the planning board meeting. There were probably 20 to 30 people in the room, maybe not that many.
not that
Okay.
There
Nonetheless.
has been times that they were close to that.
Yeah,
but not
right,
recently.
But if we know there's a large crowd, we'll have for garage again.
Is that suitable in the wintertime?
Yeah.
So, nonetheless, HEPA filters are shown to be effective against COVID-19. They can filter out particles, small particles, aerosols that can remain in the air for hours. I think obviously wearing masks are the most important thing that we can do, but inevitably, people at the planning board meeting, not everyone was wearing their mask properly. If masks obviously individually have different filtration properties and levels of effectiveness over a certain period of time. I'm not a scientist, I'm not a doctor, but it just seems like a common sense thing that we can do. Obviously, also there's a potential somebody will walk in without a mask on at all, and we know that a large majority of cases are transmitted by people who are not showing any symptoms whatsoever. So I looked through several websites that have air purifiers. The one that I thought made the most sense is this Blue Air set. Each one of those air purifiers, like included this in the memo, are rated for 540 square feet. They do 5 air exchanges per hour, and they're very quiet.
You want that?
They do. They're a look.
Thank you.
They're quieter, and they do more air exchanges per hour than any other one that I saw on the market, and they're relatively affordable. We could buy 2 of them. I thought, and perhaps during meetings we could have 2 of them in this room. We could move one into the courtroom as necessary.
Are they
if
easily
that's
movable? Are they on
helpful.
wheels or?
They're pretty light. They're not hard to move. If we were to purchase a twin pack, it's $560. And the only thing is you do have to buy new filters. It's recommended every 6 months. If you do a subscription with them, then you can actually extend the warranty. Or I think it might be another additional fee you have to pay for the warranty.
Do we know how
extension.
much the filters are?
They're right here. Yeah, it's
Oh, okay.
if you get a subscription, it's $60 for per filter.
Okay.
Yeah. Hopefully, we wouldn't necessarily have to do this forever, but it seems like
So
a common sense.
my take on it is, I'm not opposed to it, but I also don't feel that it's going to be very effective for coronavirus at all. But I'm not opposed to it, but I don't want to give the false sense that these are taking care of things and cleaning things up, because I don't believe they'll be effective against coronavirus.
Because
Well, my research was that coronavirus is less than 0.03, and these filter to 0.03. So the coronavirus is slightly smaller. They may capture some of that, but the filtering is larger than the coronavirus, so a lot of it would pass through.
my from what I read is that they do some 99% of 0.1 microns particle size, and coronavirus is 0.12, so it is effective. I mean, maybe not
Okay.
against everything, but it would certainly contribute to a reduction.
Okay, that's a discrepancy against the article that I read, but it's online, so how much online do you
Yeah.
believe? I don't really know. Is it in there?
And I also brought this.
You know,
but-
I'm certainly not against this. You know, I don't like to spend any kind of money right now, but you know, we're in an old building. Circulation is horrible.
Yeah, I'm
You
not
know,
opposed to this
I
at all.
don't think it's a bad idea. You know, it certainly can't hurt, and if it, you know, helps at all, it's better than nothing. So, for $600, I think it's probably a good investment to help us out.
I agree.
You know, I
Question,
don't.
how effective would, if we had 1 unit, would be in here?
It would do something. I think anything would help.
And what I'm wondering is if, once the pandemic is over,
Mhm.
maybe would it make sense, I mean, we get 2 units to start with, and then would it make sense so we don't have to continually spend money on the filters, because that's a continuing ongoing cost.
Mhm, mhm.
Maybe we could shut down to 1, if it seems like it's helpful. And maybe put 1 in the other room and leave it there, and they can turn it on. I mean, it wouldn't have to be left on 24 hours a day.
No, you can turn. I mean, you can turn the filter. Actually, we have one of these brands in our house, and I don't know. We don't have this model, but it gives an orange indication when the filter needs to be changed. And I feel like it's been longer than 6 months, but I don't. If it's not on all the time, it might also extend the life significantly. This is 6 months, assuming. I would assume. I haven't reached out to this manufacturer, but this would be running almost continuously, which we wouldn't necessarily need to do.
I think part of the reason that Lindsay recommended 2 units is because when Ray gave her the square footage, he did mention that the very high ceilings. So that, while the room maybe is 600 square feet because of the high
Yeah, the
ceilings,
higher ceilings.
it makes it a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, for it to exchange that much air, it's pushing it, it's not quite big enough for the room, but once you figure the high ceilings, you need more, so.
Yep.
Now, is that something that could be considered infrastructure and take out of the Con Ed fund also? For the initial purpose?
For $600? I mean, maybe.
May
But-
not be, because they're
We can come
mobile.
up
You
with
can
that out of our
carry them
building
in,
budget.
carry them out.
Okay.
Yeah, we can come up with $600.
Well, I was gonna look, I don't know how much we have in buildings.
About $7,300 left,
Okay.
roughly.
There are some units that can do a larger area, but they only had they
79.
only cycled the air twice an hour, and I actually thought having 2 units would add more flexibility, so maybe we want it, I don't know, in the garage for some reason, or in Mary's office, or in the
there is-
courtroom, like.
Yeah, it's tight,
It would
yeah.
allow us to use it wherever it was appropriate in the future.
So is it 2 units, $600? Was that
Yeah, it's $560.
Okay. plus
For
filters?
and then $60.
So we
That
know-
was one that,
Did a subscription
I don't know if
for
all the units were
$70.
like that, but this one in particular actually sold it like a twin, like you were
Yeah,
suggesting,
I
right?
think
So it was-
it's a little cheaper if you buy
Yeah.
the 2 together.
Do we know about shipping and all that stuff? Is there anything involved with that?
I will check on that. Yeah,
Says-
I actually didn't,
It says here free shipping.
oh, there you go.
We don't have that one.
I think it was that free
And I don't
shipping
have
just
one
got.
either. I don't have that.
You don't have this one?
No, I don't have that. And the one you showed Chris, I don't have.
Yeah.
You know, what's a,
But it does say free shipping.
Okay.
I guess, unless it's just the filters. No, up to
No,
2-year
that's-
warranty. No, that's gotta be it.
All right, well, the only thing is, I know nothing about these. I know nothing about the brand. I'm not gonna claim that I do, so, I mean, I think it'll help. I don't, did you check the reviews and stuff on these? I mean,
Yes, I did. It's,
The reviews I saw
The-
had this, I think, as the top
yeah,
That's
there's,
a very
air
important.
filtration unit. I think second was
I mean,
Honeywell.
we're not
I
spending
believe.
$6,000, so that's $600, so I'm not, I'm not gonna go crazy over this. So, I mean, I have no problem with this if we wanna go ahead and do this.
I'm fine with it.
Just if we could verify, if there's any other hidden costs in there, but
I'm happy, yes, I'm
if
happy.
we wanna authorize it up to, well, let's see, how many filters, should we probably get a set of filters with it too, or does it come with filter, I would assume?
It comes with filter. The reason that it can do so many exchanges is basically the filter is more or less part of, makes up a large part of what the
It's the
unit is
perimeter of
itself.
the entire
Yeah, it goes
unit.
around the whole
Goes-
thing.
Okay,
Like a
So we should
donut.
be good for at least 6 months.
all right, so why don't we order the units and order one extra set of filters so we have it, and
So
that
we
way
don't
we're
have
good
to-
for a year.
Okay, great.
And then that won't exceed, what, 569, and then, so do we have to subscribe, you're saying, to get the cheaper price?
You get us like a $10 off per filter price if you subscribe.
If you subscribe, how long is that, are you locked in for?
They say they're for 6 months.
No, I mean, how,
Oh, I
if you
don't know,
decide
that's
to
a,
cancel the subscription, if we get filters, we get our subscription a couple of times and we say, well, we got enough, can we just let that?
I don't
subscription
know
go?
off the top of my head, but I can find out.
All right, so why don't we authorize the purchase, the twin pack, the two with 2 extra filters, and that'll run us $600 each, so let's say not to exceed $700, as long as it's free shipping, we should be fine.
Okay.
So
All right.
Lindsay wants to make that motion, I'll
You wanna make that
second it.
motion, we'll take it out of
I
buildings.
will make a motion to purchase HEPA filters with Blue Air 211 plus twin set for the town hall and court.
I'll second.
Not to exceed $700, out of buildings 1620.4.
Not to exceed 700?
Yep.
Oh, okay, we can- 1620.4?
Yep.
Okay.
We got a motion, we got a second?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right.
And then, Dawn, do you want to discuss the park updates with suppliers? supplies and so on.
Well, I know the park committee started putting together, actually, there's one on top of here, a list of tools and also an estimate of what the, I don't know, I actually have one that's something else too, so, of what the needs would be to put some deer guards around some of the trees and stuff that we have. And that total comes to a little bit more than $2,000. The deer fencing and fiberglass stakes to go around that come to a little bit less than $1,000. And then the shovels and transplanters and all that come to about a little bit more than $1,000. Lindsay and I were just talking that we weren't sure that we needed 70 fiberglass stakes, possibly to go around all of the trees there in order to properly protect them. But I don't know if you think that, Lindsay and I were saying we thought that this needed a little bit more work before we were to bring it to the committee in order to complete and do a motion.
Now, what about, we talked at one time about a little building to keep the stuff
Right.
in?
Ellen has done some preliminary research on that, and she today emailed us, the committee, and then she gave us, I think, about 5 different options. Most of them were in the $1,500 range, but we didn't know about delivery necessarily. Some of them did say that, you know, that there was free delivery. And I also, which I have not done, was going to check with the Village Green Committee to see if they had any room in their sheds in order to put some of the tools and things like that in. I don't know if you want to add anything.
No, Amy just had responded to say that she budgeted 2 stakes per tree.
Okay.
Budgeted what, I'm sorry?
2 stakes per tree, the fiberglass
2
stakes.
stakes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there an extra list? Because I didn't get one.
Oh, you can, you can
It would help me.
And the
If I
copy-
can't hear, I can sometimes see.
Just give me one.
I
You
did
got it?
not, I only printed a few.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I don't know if you want to add anything more?
Did you mention the shed,
Yes, we did start talking about sheds, so I think that, you know, we still have a little bit more work to do on the shed as well.
Okay. Phyllis, you have a question?
Louise and I had a discussion about the shed. That there's also another alternative, if the garage could have a section in there where we could keep the tools. It may be safer, instead of having a separate shed and costing the town some money. Sheds can be, that was rather cheap for the shed, but if it could be someplace in the garage would not interfere with, you know, the work there, that's another alternative. And it might be safer instead of someone having a separate shed and someone breaking into it.
I can find out if we can possibly use the back building, but I know Jimmy locks that and keeps stuff secured in there for the highway department. I mean, I don't know how, you know, how,
Find out.
yeah, how, you know, how if he really wants other people in there that he, you know, he doesn't have any control over, so.
Yeah.
But I could ask that question.
We could even have it like, maybe the committee chair would have a key to it, access. and-
Yeah, so it's just not
I
anywhere.
know, yeah.
Yeah, we can certainly find out, because $1,500 for a shed seems mighty cheap. I don't know, it's a, must be a small shed.
It was, they were the 8x8, and it was the gambrel, like a barn roof, like just the very cheapest
Basic,
thing
cheap.
you could find.
Yeah.
It starts around 1,500, and then there were some nicer sort of shed, gable roof sheds that were closer to 2, and then if we wanted to start looking nice,
Either
it's
shed,
around
it's
3,
quite
so.
yeah.
And we hadn't really gone through all the contents of, and talked about future of it. I didn't know if maybe in the future we would need it to be bigger or, so I started small and cheap. And for our needs now, I think it would be fine, but
How about if we had Wilson's
we
building?
haven't really discussed.
Did we ever check with the Village Green Committee about
I
that?
was gonna call them, or email Tammy yesterday, I never
I
did.
don't know how much is in that shed. I've been in there
Yeah, I have no
years,
idea.
But
So there's a shed out there now?
there is, and it's used by the Village Green. I think they actually bought it, didn't they? They purchased with their
Yes, and they have
funds?
tables out there, and I don't know what all, but they
There-
do
Yeah, I think there's a
a
lot
lot
of
of
stuff in
The
there.
storage of all the plates and
Christmas,
napkins
Easter,
and
yeah.
bins
So
of
it's,
everything.
so it's not gonna be adequate, so, all right.
Yeah. I don't know how much.
Well, I can check with Highway Department, see, what the, if there's a way to use that part of that back building there.
And Mary, you know the guy that teaches at the BOCES, right? Could you maybe ask him?
Ed, oh,
Eddie Hull?
Eddie Hull.
Yeah.
He's the BOCES,
That's the ones that built the picnic tables for us.
they built the tables. That's what I've been wondering, if they would take on something like that as a project whenever school goes back into
Right,
session.
Yeah.
Or is that something even an Eagle Scout project? I don't know.
Or Girl Scouts project.
Right.
Yeah.
It's possible if we have any Eagle Scouts or Girl Scouts coming up that need
Yeah.
certification, sure. All right, well. All right, well, we'll check into that and see if we can figure out a spot to use part of that building back there. If not, then we'll have to go forward looking into, possibly a shed then, I guess, but,
What about this list? Do you want to go ahead with that, or is there some of that that you want to go ahead with? And maybe, if you don't have a place to keep the tools, you probably don't want to go with that.
Right.
again.
yeah, I think we should maybe hold, you guys, this doesn't need to be approved.
We don't have any plantings imminent. I think if we buy trees, if we do plan another planting, we need to approve some tools.
But that'll be
along
more
with
towards
that
fall.
planting, so Amy doesn't have to bring everything from Bard.
Yeah.
And probably the shed needs to be resolved sooner, so we have a secure place to store them if
I mean, at this point, I don't think we'd be doing any plantings till fall, right? That's, obviously the best
Right.
time to do
Right.
it, so we have
Yeah,
a
we
few
have
months to
time.
get some stuff together.
I think also, I think Home Depot and Lowe's both would probably, if you went through like a pro desk, if you're over $1,500, they may discount, but we're barely over that, so I don't know how that would work. But that's another opportunity. If it's over 1,500, they may discount certain items through the pro desk.
Lowe's, and we have a credit card with Lowe's,
Oh, we do.
and they do give, I think, 5% if you have a card, I believe.
Maybe that would be an
Maybe
added
if you pay for it,
discount. I don't know
charge
if
it
they'll
and
combine
pay
them
for
or
it,
not, but
Yeah,
Um,
I was thinking about Alvarez. They have all those buildings up there at the intersection of
Right.
yeah.
9 and 9H,
Right.
whatever it is, 23. I just wonder if they're trying to move them out, they might have something cheap.
There are some places that sell used shed. Most of those quotes were from local places. The place over in Milan that you see driving by, if you
Bay
know,
Horse.
called
Yeah.
Shedman or something, is somewhere like Chatham or something like that. So I tried to get local places where they,
Up here,
deliver and service and whatever else we needed. But also if you're going to Lowe's for all the other equipment, they probably sell them too, right? I don't know, I didn't look into that, but
They may.
I will, maybe there's a discount.
What about a corporate donation?
Yeah, we can ask for that
That's,
too.
yeah, absolutely, we could try. I mean, they've been doing fantastic with this pandemic, so maybe they'd be willing to help us out, sure.
They would be more interested in doing a construction or a planting project, because they have their staff do volunteer days.
Oh, really?
Like they really get to volunteer,
Yeah.
rather than hand out money.
Okay.
Both Lowe's and Home Depot have, they call it volunteers in the community or something along those lines.
Mhm.
Certainly, we could look into that, absolutely.
When we're talking about plantings, I think, not necessarily have to go detail this month, but I think we should think seriously about some screening that we were talking about putting in at the eastern border by the house over there.
Okay, yeah, right up front here?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to see us maybe put in some kind of a mixture of forsythia, which would come out early, and lilacs, and maybe rose of Sharon, that is a later flower, that would be decorative as well.
So is this next to the Miller House?
Yeah.
We did put some screening in that I think is a big improvement in the springtime.
Maybe at the next
Well, I'm talking
committee.
about on the parking lot side, with the house. We haven't put anything in there.
At the next committee meeting, maybe you could talk about, the western side of the Miller's property. That line, we didn't put anything on that. We did the you know, we did the north side of his property, but this western side facing back, if we could talk about getting some screening across the back side of the property. That's probably something we should look at.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it can be simple. I mean, Forsythia does a good job of screening. The planning board's recommended that a number of times on different projects. And to get a little variety and flowered lilacs and Rosa Sharon. Like Rosa Sharon, I've seen some along the roads that have grown up pretty high if you let them grow. I'm not sure how long they take, but I think they're a later blooming flower, so you get some, because what we're really looking for in screening is, you know, the benefit of the screening is for the adjoining property, but we also want something that benefits and looks good with the park site.
Have you looked into what the park plan calls for?
Not recently.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't
Off the top
remember.
of my head, no.
all right, well, that's something we can look forward to going, try to move forward with the next planting round. And we come up with some more,
Yeah, I don't think we need to do any more of it tonight, but I just
Yeah.
wanted to start the discussion.
all right, Lindsay, you have anything else?
That's it.
All right, Chris?
Yes.
Gotta talk about some computers. You gonna do that now?
Oh, well, we can talk about that too. Mary's computer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Mary, do you know if that is still valid, what the county was offering? Was there a deadline for that, or is that still valid?
They will through the state bid.
They'll still,
I could still get it through them. I
Okay.
have not gone over the specs of it, what I need,
right,
so I
right.
have no idea what cost would be.
Do you want more time? Ray kind of caught me because I thought you were gonna put more thought into whether or not you wanted like a desktop or a laptop, or
The tower, the
you
desktop.
do want to go along with that?
Yeah, I think go with that, because we have the laptop,
Right, right.
which is portable, you know.
Yep, yep.
Goes everywhere.
So
But,
with something like that, would they also offer like a Microsoft Office, or would we have to buy that separately?
I don't know. That I
Because
don't know.
that's definitely a separate cost.
Yeah, yeah.
So if we were
And
gonna
we would
get
want that,
a
I
new
think.
computer, we would
All
have to purchase that as well.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, the county has a bid program, we could take advantage of the county bid also, I could check to see what's available, if you have any preference on what kind, I don't know, you know.
I've got no, I don't like Dell, but they seem to be pretty popular.
The what?
Dell,
Dell, yeah.
that's the one that
one of my
Cheryl
favorites.
got, that didn't last very long, and they refused to warranty it. That was very disappointing, so.
Why did they refuse the warranty?
They claimed it was, what had happened was the mouse pad started to, it was separate from the keypad itself, and it began to lift up, and it didn't work anymore, so that she couldn't use it. So I called Dell to warranty it, and they said, well, that had to be a user did something to it. That was based off of a picture. They said, well, can you at least send us a picture to see what the problem is? So I took a picture and sent it to them. Oh,
And
that wasn't us.
It was
That's
practically brand new.
exactly. Yeah, it was a few months old, and they refused to warranty it. So they took down all the information, serial number, everything, and then said, we're not going to warranty it. So I couldn't bring it someplace else because they had already logged or documented. So I,
Yeah, I mean, if you wanna call up and find out what's on the bid package for the county, we can, you know, take advantage of their bidding. I mean, what does a desktop go for nowadays? I don't even know.
well, they're,
$500-$600?
yeah, and upwards.
All right.
Yeah. Well, it depends. I mean, are we looking at a new monitor as well?
I
Keyboard,
don't
mouse?
think so, the monitor's fine.
Okay.
People say it's small from
The
now
monitor, yeah,
nowadays.
it's
So-
about this big.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but-
So my next question is, what is the port on the monitor, and will that
I think
plug
we should
into a new
probably get
computer?
the monitor.
You think?
I think you should. The thing's like, it's the size of my lunchbox.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty small. It
Is that why I
small.
can't see
I think so.
anymore because of that?
Yeah.
I'm squinting.
The monitor is about $100.
Yeah, I think we need to look
120,
at it.
130.
I mean, I'd be fine with keeping it, but it's your money.
Well, it's something we
Our
need to
money.
get. I mean, you gotta have a computer that works. So I mean, it is,
Yeah.
If it's
it's,
only $100, if it was a lot more than that, maybe wait till next year's budget.
I have no idea what
That's what a monitor, a bigger monitor would go for about 120, 130.
All right. Do we want to, since, I'd like to get this immediately for her, do we want to approve,
Maybe at cost, because
up
we
to,
don't,
say,
I don't have
not
the
to exceed
details yet.
$1,000, we won't spend that much, but I mean, if we go off the county bid, we don't have to bid it, we can just buy it off the county bid if we want that one, but I'll confer with you to see if
Right.
that's something we're
Well, the
interested in.
software is
Yeah.
what's gonna kill us.
Yeah, we want to certainly try to get everything, within-
Well, the computer purchase will come with Microsoft Windows. Microsoft Office is gonna be at least $120.
But you gotta have it, right.
And then the monitor, we do a monitor, that'll be 120, 130. So there's there's about 250 for that, plus the computer itself, if 5 or 6, I don't know what the county has right now.
Yeah, I don't
5 or
know.
600, it could be approaching 800.
So let's put a number like
Pretty
not to
quickly.
exceed $1,000, is that okay with everybody? We'll,
I'm fine.
obviously spend as little as possible, we'll get her what she needs.
Yeah, and we'll try to keep the cost down, but, this being brought up tonight, I don't have the details to
That was
to share.
another question that I had, was about insurance. Would this be, I know we probably have a
Our
$500
deductible's higher than it's
Yeah.
gonna be worth to put in.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, but,
Do we, I don't know, can the town access any business cards that extend, the warranty of a purchase like that?
If it's through the county, I don't know what the county has. If this is going through the county, I'm not sure what warranty
You have to find out what they're,
the county would have.
yeah.
If they have extended warranty options,
I don't know.
I don't,
Whatever the state offers, whatever.
I mean,
they-
it might not be worth it, but just
Yeah.
something to bring up.
yeah.
We were hit by lightning. I don't know if everyone knows that. The tree across the street was hit by lightning, and I don't know, it must have come in here.
Do we have a
And-
surge protector? You have a surge protector, right?
It was the modem or the network card that was taken out of the computer.
Uh-huh.
So the computer still starts up. So she can still use the computer herself, but she can't connect to the internet.
I mean, we were considering getting a new one anyway, it was,
Right.
it is an older
It's
version,
fine.
so it needs to be done.
I
So,
don't even know
all
how
right.
many years it is.
So, how
It's
about a
old.
motion to go ahead and not to exceed $1,000 paid out of the clerk's .2 line, which is 1410.2.
So
Equipment.
moved.
Second,
We'll have to transfer some money. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Bob and Dawn?
Carried.
But we do have everything in there on a surge protector.
If
to
not,
confirm.
if
Yeah,
not,
there is one, yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
alright.
if not, it will be. That'll be
Well, I
part
think
of it.
She's got one.
No,
on
it's
today.
it's on a surge. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure it is. It's so long since I've looked.
All right, that takes care of the computer. Chris, what else do you have?
So in addition to that, the park committee has asked for access to our website for working on, I'm not exactly sure,
Just to build
development
out
of a
information on the park.
page for,
Yeah.
okay.
Mhm.
So where we had wasn't really the web committee, what was it? It was the
Website
website committee, I guess, yeah. But anyway, at the time, that was a beta site. So I feel fine going ahead with this, but I think maybe if we wait for the board to know what we're gonna publish before anything is published, does that sound reasonable?
I would think so.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have otherwise any concern for it, other than if something gets pushed out and published to the public that maybe the board hasn't approved, I don't know.
I
well, you
wonder-
don't want to set a bad precedent.
Correct,
Right.
I
correct.
mean, it would seem to me to make sense that maybe the committee would put like a draft post up, and then maybe you could just have another layer.
Yeah, just
for
say,
everyone
just
to
save it
check
as
out.
all draft stuff, and we,
Yeah.
if it's something that, should come in front of the board, yeah, I mean, is that?
It'll be
So
minor
we have a
things that
draft
shouldn't
right
be
now,
like-
but one of the requests from the committee was that they didn't really understand where each piece of this, Microsoft Word document was gonna go on the website, and they wanted to just see it in place and be able to edit it, because should the reference to this go here, or should the reference, so we have the information, but they didn't know how it would be separated on the different pages, because there's Heckman Park and Claremont Park. and then-
Right.
and
Have
there's
you seen the
parks page.
back end of the website?
Have I seen the back end of the website?
Yeah, where all the information is?
I built the website.
No, I know that, I'm
I
talking about
haven't seen
where,
it since, I haven't.
So you're familiar with how messy it is?
Yeah, and I wouldn't change anything.
Okay.
I would just change the text. If
Yeah.
there was some structural change, I would, do.
Yeah,
talk
well,
to it
that's one of the
first.
things that's been on the back of my mind is trying to do some of that cleanup, so everything is better
Right.
organized,
I
because,
don't really remember, but I think maybe there
Yeah.
wasn't a page for Hetland Park, or there were just documents for it, or something like that, but there's not a text.
yeah,
that
it's,
reads.
some of the information is scattered, and that's.
So we might need to, confirm.
And we
with you
could
as
even
do
work together
things.
on that as
But
well,
the-
if that
The
helps.
whole impetus was that the website committee wanted to be able to edit the text as they understood where it went. So
Yeah.
we could do that in some sort of draft form, or just go ahead and show you the preliminary stuff, and then have you look at it online, and we could change, if you disagree, we could change it within a week.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't think
and I kind of want to give that freedom there, but I also just wanted to remind you how messy it
Yeah.
was, so, or still is for the most part. I've tried to organize some of the things, but there's still,
Yeah,
a lot
there's
to do
definitely,
there.
the park was just, I think
Yeah.
it was just one page for everything, something like that.
yep.
So,
I mean, does that sound reasonable if we were to just do that? We just,
Not really.
Yeah.
I think if we do that, we should probably designate
You close
one
that door,
person to
please?
have access to the website and make it like very specific, the level of access that they will have, just so it's transparent, like who has privileges to change
Yeah.
the town
Yeah.
site.
Yeah, but I don't want all the
I'm
bugs
fine with
coming
it. I
in,
think it'll
Chris.
make
I'd like it
easier.
closed, please.
Is there another door, another way to ventilate this space?
Well, the fans are running.
That doesn't introduce fresh air into the building, that recirculates the air. Is there a screen on the back door?
We could turn the air conditioner back on, you need more air?
I'm saying that the air
I
is
think
fresh
it's,
air.
yeah.
Lindsay, I had emailed Chris today asking if I could have access, so I can, Jennifer and I were going to.
There's a screen on the back door, then open the back door.
I think it's fine, I just think we should be specific to say we will give user access.
Yeah, I feel
That's one
very
thing.
comfortable giving
And
them-
and Chris will review
Yeah.
and publish changes
Right,
or something
right.
of that.
I'll have to go back and look.
I won't change anything, the text, unless
I'm wearing a
I.
suit.
I think Evan dropped everyone's, I don't think he deleted anything. I think he just lowered credentials, so you probably still have some, I have to look
I
at it
haven't
to see what
tried,
that
and I'm
is.
not, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'll look to see where that is, and certainly, if your account is still there, I'll just elevate it back up again.
Okay,
But I'll look and I'll let you know.
all right, and we'll definitely communicate anything.
Yeah. But that, I did see your email. I didn't respond because I wanted to talk
Yeah,
about it
yeah.
tonight and
So-
be able to
I figured
respond.
you
I didn't know
needed
you
to
were gonna
figure
be
it out
here.
first.
The
Yeah,
motion would be to give Ellen privileges to edit the
Yes.
website.
yes.
No problem with that. Anybody else have any discussion? You wanna Make
Okay.
a motion on that, or?
Go ahead.
Make a motion for Ellen to have privileges to edit the website for the park committee documents.
I'll second it. Or Don, you got it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay.
Thank you, Ellen, for doing that.
You done,
Yes,
Chris?
thank you.
All right, done?
Yes.
Dawn?
Okay, so I just, for the record, I just want to say that we did not receive funding through the AARP Community Challenge Grant. There were over 2,700 applications, and ours was not one of them that they chose to fund.
How many
And
did they fund today?
it did, I don't believe it said in the email.
Okay.
No, I don't believe it did say. And then I have been talking about having an open house at St. Luke's Church, that annually the New York Landmarks Conservancy has what they call a Sacred Sites Open House, and it's something coordinated throughout the state where churches are open to the public for viewing. And it had originally been scheduled for a weekend in May, and then it was moved to a weekend in August. And when I looked now, what they're doing is they're doing a virtual event throughout the entire month of August. So I chose Saturday, August 22nd from 11 to 1, that I will have St. Luke's open for the public to view. I'll put publicity in Register Star and the Columbia paper, and I will also let people know that they'll need to wear a mask, and I'll make sure hand sanitizer is available. So for 2 hours, the church will be open to the public. And that's all I have for now.
All right. Thank you, Don. Okay, let's move on to old business. Park update. I think we pretty much went through most of that in depth. I don't really have a whole lot more to add on that right now. Sales tax revenue, we just wanted to update everybody. We did get our sales tax check in from the county. It's in the deposit slip on the back of the agenda. Came in at $90,960, which is about 13% less than last year's payment this time. County's been predicting all along that it was going to drop. It would have been worse if not for the first payment we received. The first month was higher than expected before the COVID really hit. And the last few months is where we really have seen the drop. So it was really down about 20-25% in the past few months. So the next 3 months is unpredictable. The county has been predicting this, figure on 25 to 30% reduction. If that's the case, we will be very close, but we should be okay on our sales tax revenue since we did under budget the revenue like we have in the past. So we can absorb a reduction in the sales tax revenue, which is our main source of income. So it'll be interesting to see the next few months. Hopefully things doesn't look like it's getting better anytime soon. So I think the next 3 months are going to be difficult, and our next payment probably will be low, but we can absorb that, and obviously we have plenty of money in the fund balance if necessary. If we do run short this year, but I think we're going to be very close to being okay.
You said there was less than last year's. How much less than what we budgeted, or was it close to what?
We're right now, we're still on budget. We're still actually a little over budget. The next two come in around the same amount. So the next payment is usually higher. We got about 115,000 last year, 112,000 last year. So, if we're 20 to 30% lower, we'll still be somewhere around 80, 90. So we're going to be very close. It's going to be close. So I'm not concerned. I think we're going to be okay because we did under budget revenues quite a bit. So I think we'll be fine with that. But we'll keep an eye on it. The tobacco money was the other payment we received, and the county did cut that as well. If you're familiar with the numbers,
Yeah,
they're
it's like
usually around $12,000.
Yeah.
That's about 20% lower than last year. They did say that they were going to be cutting that revenue as well to help, offset some of the revenue loss in the county. So we are $2,500 short on that one as well. So everything is, pinching pennies at this time. Unfortunately, the state's going to be doing the same thing as reimbursements. Still haven't heard officially on the CHIPS. They're still saying the winter recovery money's there, the CHIPS money's there. If they're going to, take a percentage of that, we don't know. But that's why we've told the highway department not to spend the town's portion that we allocated in the highway and the roads department, which will save us about $35,000 to offset if we do not get full reimbursement. So we're going to hold off on that for this year. I don't see it happening for this year, so that'll help us a little bit with the revenues. And the roads are in pretty good shape since obviously we kept up on them year after year, so we can absorb 1 year with 3/4 of what he planned on doing. That's about it on our old business. New business, I want to bring up a couple things we have to deal with. First one was an issue we talked about last month about putting a bumper rail system around the parking lot at the Claremont Park. We had one quote that came in last month. The second quote came in the day after our meeting, but I just wanted to circulate these quotes. The first quote was from Oakdale Fencing. It was $7,700 to do the 440 feet perimeter of the parking lot, which would be the north and south side. We do not need to do the end, obviously. The second fence quote came from Roma Fence Company for $5,800. So there's quite a bit of discrepancy in the prices. Roma Fence has helped us out before. They put in the actual ball field fencing when we did the fencing years ago. So they're familiar with the town, and I think they gave us a pretty good price, a very fair price. So talking about the safety, I think we should really proceed with this. We did put other thing I want to mention, we did put the concrete bumpers on the blacktop surface on the Claremont or the Hentling side. So there is actually a stop, so people when they pull in can't just drive off the edge anymore. But I do think we should proceed with this as far as for safety reasons to protect the parking area, protect the swing sets, protect the ball field over there.
Yep.
And it is in the actual master plan, which was presented by the committee, so this should be at least something we can agree on.
Yep.
So if anybody has any further discussion, I'd be glad to discuss it, but I think we should proceed with the lowest bid, which is Roma Fence at $5,800.
I'll
And
make a
that's putting
motion.
the 6x6s
I think
in with the 2x8.
How
it's
many, we need
description of
just
that.
2 bids?
Okay.
I tried to get a third bid from Red Hook Fence, and we could not pick up the third bid, so I took the 2 bids and took the lowest bid.
Are they both gonna do the same thing?
Yes, yep, we're going with the 440 feet. The other guy priced, he didn't write it actually out that way, but Jimmy actually met with him and walked both of them around, showed him exactly, he actually spray painted on the ground over there what was to be
I
done.
wasn't talking so much about the length of it, but how they're gonna be finished on top.
Well, this one I think just says, what does it say, 6x6,
Flat top.
flat top. The other one I think mentions angled top maybe.
Yeah. I guess it doesn't matter.
Unless you have a preference. I don't know.
Well, somewhere recently I saw one, and they had it.
Some of them actually cut them on a slant, some of them put like a
Yeah,
taper
well,
to them, some
Well,
of them
the
just.
one I was, so it had a small slant on all 4 sides,
Okay.
so it kind of made it, dressed it up a little bit. But whatever they do is fine, as far as I'm concerned, if you're happy with it.
Yeah. If you have a request, we could ask, but I don't think I think they just priced it a flat,
Yeah.
but.
Do you know, did they do, Red Hook just installed a very similar parking rails backstop system in their new park? I don't know, we don't know who did that.
I don't know. I don't know unless there's a sign there. I don't know. Yeah.
I'm sorry, you mentioned earlier that Roma did what before?
They put the actual ball field fence around the baseball field.
Oh, okay.
They did all the fencing for that project when we did it. Well, 6 years ago. I don't know. It was a while ago. So,
You looking for a motion?
if any, yeah. if
I
you
made a
guys-
motion earlier.
Oh, I'm sorry,
I'll
I
make
didn't
it
hear
again.
I'll second that, I'll second that. We need to get this
Second
done.
it? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Speaking of fencing for the park, I wanted to bring up the split rail
Oh,
for
right,
the
we need to do
entrance.
those
Oh.
by the end of the month.
I'm sorry, yes, I was gonna have the highway department try to do that, and he spoke to this company, they said they would put that in when they were here, because they had the tools to put it right in,
Great.
so.
Oh,
And
good.
we've already purchased everything.
We didn't buy it yet,
Oh, okay.
no, we did not buy it yet.
Who's gonna put it in?
The fence company, when they're here, putting holes in for that fence, they just put those in over there.
Beautiful.
Roma fence?
Do we need to approve that, or have we already done that?
That's a couple $100, so we don't need to approve
Okay.
that. That's
And what
fine.
was that for? Because I couldn't hear you
The
very well.
fence by the entrance to the.
Oh, the split
Split
rail?
rail.
Okay, we got it?
We didn't get it
Oh,
yet,
yeah,
that's gonna
okay,
get
all
done
right.
for the other one.
Okay. I'll just make a note of that.
Okay, authorized stipulation. We have a stipulation presented by the town attorney between the assessor and Angelo Giovino. It's a stipulation of settlement on a tax grievance. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And the last, but most painful one is authorizing CPL, which is our town attorney, to test monitoring wells for the Hentling Park.
I'm sorry, could you continue?
Engineer.
The town engineer, we're authorizing the town engineer to test the monitoring wells for the Hentling Park. This is part of the closure plan that the state put forward, that being part of the program for the reimbursements, we are obligated to test the monitoring wells for the next 30 years, believe it or not. We knew this was coming. We had no idea what to expect, but it is part of the closure plan that we had no way to negotiate with. So the plan suggests that it's tested every year. For the first 5 years, if it shows no significant findings, then you could apply to state to test it to every 3 years to finish out the 30 years. we are going to follow up a conversation with the state to see, I'm sure we're stuck with it this year, so they can have a baseline of what they have in the ground, or what's not there, I should say, which we all know is nothing. But the testing is very expensive in my eyes. I was kind of floored when I saw this. The lab work, the sampling, the testing, the lab work, and the price for preparing the report and submitting it to the state, the estimate is not to exceed $15,000.
What?
That's for 1 year. Not happy about this. I don't think anybody would be, but.
The alternative is to tell them to take a hike and then they'll send us a bill for $900,000, because that's what they paid for the remediation.
So we do have to comply. 18 to 20 months after the closure is when it's supposed to start, which is about where we're at. So we received notice that they do want the first test results. So we reached out to our town engineer to organize a quote. Most of this is lab work. The lab work and testing and sampling is $12,782, and the annual report and filing with DEC, $2,218. Again, these are estimated roughly, but it says not to exceed $15,000.
It has to be done, so.
Yeah, and I'm, again, totally unexpected, that kind of price, but I don't really have an option. We certainly will be looking into seeing how we can try to negotiate a different testing or a lesser amount for the next year, but I think we're going to be doomed into this year. So I regretfully say I'd like to put this forward, and we just discussed about where to pay this out of, because we do not have a budgeted line for this. For now, we're going to pay it out of the DEC line, which we still have, I think, right?
The brownfields?
Brownfields, and we'll end up transferring money out of our Con Ed fund to pay for it this year. We still have about a little over $50,000 in that fund. Since it's used for capital projects or recreation, I think this falls for where we could use it. So I'd like to have someone make that motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, clerk, we took care of the computer. We had a request from our zoning code enforcement officer to make an amendment to our organizational meeting fee schedule. He's had a lot of work to do on solar issues, solar panels, and we don't have an actual line set up for solar fees in his fee schedule. So we're proposing to amend resolution number 34 of 2020 to include a line for under the fee schedule of building permit fees to include solar fees in the amount of 25 cents per square foot for inspections and a $25 CO fee. And that's for ground mount and roof mount panels. And he proposed this information off of the other 3 towns that he takes care of. He takes care of Milan, Livingston, Germantown. He says every one of them have something in their solar, in their building permit fees, which includes solar specifically. And he says we really should have this in there so he can charge. And he says that is a very nominal amount. So I don't disagree with it. I think it's a fair amount. I think we should have it in there. So that's
So
fine.
moved.
And that's comparable to the other towns?
It's actually a little less, and yes, it's less.
Well, why can't we make it a little bit more, commensurate to the other towns?
Well,
Why should it be less?
I think Livingston is more, Germantown, I believe, I think he said was the same, and I think it's less than, don't quote me on this, one of them is less than the other one. So it's right in the ballpark, and I told him I'd like to keep our fees on the lower side. I really don't think we need to overcharge everybody, so.
Could
That's
you repeat
fine.
what the fee proposal was?
25 cents per square foot, and $25 CO fee. And again, I forget which towns he told me were, which higher or lower, but
So moved.
Square foot of the panel?
well, square footage for coverage. So if you have 100 square feet, you charge 25 cents per square feet. That's how they measure it. So we got a motion, we have a second? Second.
Yeah, I was waiting, I didn't know if there were more questions.
Any further
before-
discussion on it? All in favor?
Who's-
Aye.
Who seconded that?
I did.
You did, okay.
Opposed? Carried.
Okay.
Okay. Supervisor report. I don't have a lot to discuss. The county meetings have been still online. We actually opened the county offices, so we will be meeting, actually started meeting the end of last month. The rest of the meetings will be still held over the computer or in person now. I will be attending in person because I just hate working on the computer. So we'll be working, starting this month, I'll be going back up to the county every meeting. Again, the revenues is just the worst part of the whole thing. We keep predicting that it's going to be keep getting worse for the next short term. Hopefully before the end of the year it turns around. But they're preparing for the worst, and you know, we're making budget cuts, and the budget season's coming up for next year, which is even more difficult at this point, which we're going to be facing here in another month or so. So it's tough times because it's just unpredictable. So. Not a lot you can do with it, not a lot you can say about it.
What's the county doing to prepare for the election?
The election, I haven't heard the latest, but I know they're still planning on doing mail-ins, a lot of mail-in ballots. I mean, people can go to the polls if they like, but they're going to solicit mail-in ballots. So.
Well, I'm just thinking with all the mail-ins, it's a lot more paper.
That's a lot of
and so are they planning to hire people?
I believe so. I haven't heard from that yet. I don't know for sure, but
Okay.
you would think by now we would. But this meeting coming up this month, we'll probably get the update on that.
It has to be decided by the State Board of Elections, and I was speaking to our Hudson Board of Elections, and nothing's been decided yet. But they're leaning towards having a great mailing, and doing it early enough because they have to open up each envelope.
Yeah, it's going to be a tremendous amount of work.
Phyllis, can I ask a question? What is the difference between the mail-in and the absentee? Because the absentee is
The
a
same
mail-in.
thing. It's gonna be the same thing. What I was told was that on line 2, what you put down is COVID illness. It was very important for people to put that down for this year. Okay? And then one person said to me, but I'm not ill.
Right.
But the reason was
No
the
wonder.
COVID epidemic. That's
Okay.
all they wanted you to put down. Not that you're ill or anything like that.
Right. So that's the reason for the.
Exactly.
The reason is that you don't want to be ill.
Right.
And also, there are a lot of people who don't want to be at the polls.
Right. No, it's all
And then there are
understandable.
some people who are vehemently, I want to go to the polls.
Yeah.
This is my right. You
Yeah.
know, but we can
My
get-
understanding was that somehow it was different, and I don't
That's the only reason
understand
that's
why
different.
the absentee to the.
Legally, prior to COVID, you could have the reason of illness, taking care of someone,
Right.
or your work takes you away from your
Okay.
polling area.
Yeah.
Those are the 3 reasons
Why you can
why
do
you
an
can't
absentee.
be there to vote, because it's your right to vote in person
Right.
at your polling place. So, by executive order, they added in the reason of COVID as one of the legal reasons for you not being present. Your fear, whether it's for yourself or for others
Right.
that you're caring for, that you're not going to go. So, I mean, I could sit there at home and say, oh, I'm not gonna go, I'll just get an absentee because I don't feel like going to the polls. But it wouldn't be legal prior to this executive order.
Prior to this
Right.
time, this last election. But it hasn't been decided yet, but we all know that it is going to go this way. And there'll be 1 or 2 polling places that you can get to if you choose to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, we did Germantown and Claremont together. That
Yeah.
worked out very well.
Yeah.
Right.
And several other towns combined. It's difficult for folks who have problems getting transportation. However, there would probably be folks who would be doing an absentee ballot to begin with,
Yep.
whether due to age or infirmity.
Okay.
And it'll be sent to everybody.
Okay.
But if you vote in person, and you had already mailed in your ballot, there'll be a record when they go to open that envelope, they'll say, oh, that person actually voted.
So the mail-in would have to
person.
be in.
That's not with them.
in advance so that that record could be created.
Right.
Okay, I see. All
It
right.
takes a lot of logging.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. I guess that's about it. We've been here long enough. I'll move on to motion to pay abstracts. I know we got a couple other issues to deal with. So let's pay the bills and then we'll,
Thank you.
You want it, or Bob, or
Bob can do it.
Bob? All right, I make a motion that we pay general abstract 8A, vouchers 186 through 204 in the amount of $4,591.49.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I
Okay.
move that we pay prepaid general vouchers 183 to 185 in the amount of $185.94.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
I make a motion to pay highway abstract number 8, claims number 61 through 63 in the amount of $4,232.40.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And Mary, you probably wrote it
Carries.
down. I don't think I said that that was abstract number 8 on this one.
What's that, Bob?
I don't think I said it was abstract number 8. I just get, but you, I'm sure you got that right anyway.
General prepaid, yep,
Yeah.
number 8, I'll have that. Okay.
Okay, let's move on to public comment. Who's first? Oh, okay. Phyllis is up first.
Thanks. This is a report or request from the ZBA, and I'll read it to you. At our last meeting, it was decided unanimously that we would like a moratorium on large solar projects, like the one that's coming up on Mill Road. We're not against private home solar projects, okay? And one of the reasons was that we had the brewery, which went before the planning board and ZBA, and you know, there were many people here who were against food trucks. And with this particular project on Mill Road, it's really in a very residential area, and there's no way of hiding it. So we would like the board to have a moratorium on large solar projects.
How are you defining large?
Oh, that's a good question. This is pretty large.
And actually, we don't allow any large projects
10
in the
acres.
town of Claremont anyway. 'cause it's
And I
limited
think
to 10
maybe
acres.
they meant commercial. Anything commercial would be rather large. I don't really know. That's an excellent question. You know, I think everything, you know, when I see these solar parks, everything is large to me. You know, it's huge. But I think at this time it may be wise so we don't incur any legal costs or from our neighbors.
Chris is ready to jump out of his chair back there. I know how he feels about solar.
Wait a minute, but we're not against you or I going for a solar project on your home.
So what is the moratorium for? I generally assume a moratorium to be because there's work or business you want to accomplish before more of it comes forward.
Right.
So what is the purpose?
Yeah, this one was really, when I passed by the area, this in no way could be screened. I mean, this is really big.
Was it
So
infrastructure
screening
that they were,
considerations?
This is on Mill Road.
infrastructure, what we talked about last month, maybe? Was
I
that?
don't know.
Oh, with the poles?
We have screening requirements, right? That's part of the solar law.
But because of the poles. I think that's what they had asked for last month, was to look into that, rewriting the zoning
Yeah.
and including an infrastructure clause or something
What
about,
I can do is go back to when we have our meeting this month, on the fourth Wednesday. We'll ask them to be more specific. Okay?
Yeah, that'd be helpful because we already have a 10-acre limit on the size of solar farms allowed.
And any suggestion, I mean, if it's a
And there is
telephone
screening.
poles, is there a suggestion on how to?
I'll ask them to be very
Yeah.
specific about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I know a lot of
I think
towns
that
have much larger
I can't
solar.
hear, Bob, I can't understand.
A lot of towns have much larger solar farms than what we allow. We have limited it to 10 acres. And I know there's a 20-something acre parcel, if somebody wanted to subdivide it and put two, which would come together and really be one, and I think the planning board told them no, and I think the zoning board was prepared to tell them no also.
Couldn't understand your last sentence, Bob, sorry. The planning board what?
Said they would not allow that subdivision to split it up to make two solar farms on basically what was one parcel to begin with.
Let's hear from the planning board.
We did not decide that. We stated that any project that comes before us, we would have to consider as an entire project, whether it was one parcel or two, we would have to consider everything that occurred. We did not say yes, we did not say no,
But you consider it as one project.
but it would be considered one project because in a subdivision, we have to consider the development of the entire set of parcels.
So if you consider it as one project, that would make it a solar farm larger than 10 acres.
I didn't say that.
I said that.
That's
That's what I
right.
said.
All right, well, if you want to check to see what the intent of everybody is,
Yes,
I mean.
and you'd like them to be more specific.
Yeah, a little clearer because, we do have screening requirements, we do have a 10 acre minimum or maximum. So, I mean, if they want to change, if they're looking to change that, then that's something we can consider, but,
I think where this particular one, they were concerned about the area. 'cause
well, we can't
everything would
single
be very
one
visible.
project out. We got to look at the general law that's going to, apply to everybody, so.
And this application is already before the planning board.
So it's too late.
This is Mar Mill Road?
And I think it's important to Chris's point that usually during a moratorium, it's because you have a certain work that needs to be done.
I'm sorry, what?
I take Chris's point very seriously too, is that the committee or the board should come back to us and explain to us why they want the moratorium and what work they would be doing during that period of time.
Yeah, what the overall goal is to try to get to.
I'll get back to Hank about that.
Okay, thank you. Chris?
I think I had distributed through Mary, everyone received a copy of this email from Dean Knox.
Yes.
Yes.
So he outlines pretty clearly the procedure that I need to ask you to follow for getting this accomplished. The first is I need you to, I believe, formally ask the highway superintendent to view the situation, even though I've been to him already. And then he issues some kind of letter to you stating his opinion.
Hmm?
Then following on, assuming he issues that letter that it's unused and unneeded, the process then continues to be that there is, that's what I need to know is there because I supply to you a meets and bounds description and other legal documents and survey documents. So before I make that expenditure, I need to know that we're moving in the right direction, all on the same page.
Right.
Yeah,
I think we've discussed this, we've talked to, I know Bob's talked to Jimmy, the highway department, I have talked to him. There's no issue moving forward with this. So I would say, unless anybody has any questions or objections, if you get the proper paperwork, presented, put together, surveyed, and meets and bounds, we have no problem signing off on that.
I did talk to the highway superintendent, and he basically just wants to keep the 50-foot right of way. And I'm not sure if part of this is why your house and the barn is close to the road, which may make it.
No, you didn't
difficult.
understand the map then, it's on the other side of the street.
But the 50-foot right of way is between your house and the barn. And
No,
he's talking about, you're
We're
talking
talking
Right
about a
away
road
for the
right
road.
away, a road right away.
the road, if it's 50 feet on the road right away, it goes through my living room.
I think Bob's talking about from the complete width of the road. 50 feet.
Yes,
You're
25
talking about from
25.
center, right?
No,
Bob's
no,
talking
no,
about
I'm talking,
center.
let's look at the drawing.
Every road has a 50-foot right-of-way. It might not be the center of the road out 25 feet, but there's always a
Yeah.
50-foot path.
There's a total, exactly.
That's
This,
what we're talking about.
No, I
That's-
think you're
that's-
talking the same thing.
we are
It's
talking the
just-
same thing,
Yeah.
but, this is the side in question. It's the east side.
Understand. What I would suggest is a lot line adjustment.
That's what is suggested here, so I think we
Okay.
follow his, that's exactly what we
I
need
didn't
to
see,
do.
see in
He
here
called
that
it
he
an
said lot.
abandonment or a release. I don't, you could call it a lot line adjustment, but you can't adjust the lot line until the party holding title to that agrees to the abandonment of it.
Right.
So yeah, we're gonna lot line adjust, maintaining a 50-foot right-of-way.
Right.
Yeah,
We're saying the same thing.
exactly.
Yeah.
But the problem is, I'm not sure if any of that lot line adjustment is gonna come in between the barn that's close to the road and the house, which is gonna make it difficult to have, as you point out, to have the 50-foot right-of-way. Jimmy is okay with moving the 50-foot more on one side or the other side, if that,
I'm not asking for both sides of the road. I'm asking for this hatched section, which goes at least 50 feet into the, from the, where did I measure it from? I think I measured it from the part pavement edge. It goes in at least 50 feet into my property.
okay, when you have your surveyor survey and draw up a new map that shows the lot line adjustment, what the highway superintendent would like, and what I would suggest is that it shows the 50-foot right-of-way of that road. And wherever that line ends up in there, that's the boundary line.
That's what
And
we
the
want to
rest
do.
of-
That's what I'm showing right here. That's all I want to do.
Okay,
That's fine.
That's all I want to do.
Yep, I think that's fine. Now, that would end up going to the planning board anyway for lot line adjustment. We just have to sign off as, obviously, granting the permission. or abandoning
Well,
it,
I'm
whatever
not
you
sure
want to do.
this didn't mention that further step.
it has to go to the planning board because you have to have a map to be able to file, right?
Well, what he's suggesting is that the attorneys coordinate how the further step happens. So whatever the attorneys say, that's the way it'll happen.
Which probably would be through the planning board, which is our town attorney at the planning board.
But if you're
would be helpful.
abandoning the parcel, why is it an adjustment? Isn't the abandonment already adjusting the line?
We're not abandoning the whole parcel. We're adjusting the lot line to maintain the 50-foot right-of-way for the road and giving the rest of it to join in with your property.
I would hope that we could get the legal opinions of how this should proceed after I get you the surveys and the other documents.
I got,
Okay.
probably the best, are you around Wednesday night?
Yes.
The best thing to do is come to the planning board with us and ask, 'cause I think you should go to the planning board. Am I not correct with this?
Lot line adjustment would come through the planning board. It's the second Wednesday though.
This is not, this is
Oh,
an
that's right, it's next
abandonment.
week. It's next
This is an
week, so-
abandonment, it's not the proceed, here, you can
You're
have it.
changing a line on your,
Property.
We have to do something before it comes before the.
You have to do something before. The question, so I'm not going to the planning board or anybody else until the
Yeah.
parcel has been
Until that's
identified and abandoned. And a step-by-step procedure has been agreed to
Well,
among
then
the
if you're
attorneys.
not going to the planning board before it's been abandoned, then you're out of luck. Because, I mean, I only have one vote, but I won't vote for that because we need to see the map and we need to see that the 50-foot right-of-way is maintained. And I think the easiest way to do that, so that you don't have to go through all of the things of subdivision and everything, is to do a lot line adjustment. Now, you can check with the attorney. The attorney will be at the planning board meeting.
Tomorrow, Wednesday?
No, it's
No,
next
week-
Wednesday, I'm
next
sorry,
Wednesday.
I was mistaken.
I'll talk, if you authorize me to speak directly to your attorney, I'll do that.
If you go through the planning board, you can speak to the attorney while he's here, but
And
I'm not gonna
and there-
authorize you to call our town attorney up out of the blue and just talk about a matter that's, should be, technically, I really think you gotta go to the planning board, because you're changing the boundaries of your property. I mean, it's gotta be approved by them, which, there's no problem, I mean, we can give them the okay to go ahead and we're gonna abandon it, but you're gonna have to have a new survey map drawn up with the new meets and bounds.
How is it handled at the county?
The survey is brought to the county to show
That's
where,
been
you know,
stamped
we
by-
always, yeah, we stamp plans by an architect, and we just, we approve it, it's done.
And then what happens? That gets recorded?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So where is there a planning board procedure?
it's already been through that, I believe.
The
He's not
planning
saying
board
that.
approves lot line adjustments.
This is, fine, I don't want to argue with this. We have a difference of opinion that can only be settled by the legal.
Well, I could
profession.
certainly confer back to the dean if you want me to call him myself, because I see him all the time. And if you want me to talk to him about this and see if there's a way that we can just abandon it without going, but I don't know.
That's what he seems to be.
Somebody's got to write up the
That's
meets
what
and
he
bounds.
seems to be. Well, I write up the meets and bounds, you abandon it, and then it's filed. That's what the process he's outlining.
I will double check with him. I can do that. Certainly have
I
time.
can see the town's concern where if we abandon something that is part of the road, I mean, that wouldn't be, you know.
Well, that's at your discretion at the time of accepting or rejecting it.
You've come to us a number of times at the planning board.
I've been on the planning board for 16 years, I know the process.
No,
But this is what I'm saying.
but to
If
have
this-
your,
if
but to
this
have
hatched
this
area-
accepted by the county, they're going to be looking for the planning boards.
Well, that's not what the county engineer is saying in his letter.
No.
Well, I'll double check.
He's not the one
with him.
who accepts the paperwork, though.
He's the one who creates it.
Your clerks at the county office, the registrar for deeds.
Well, that's correct.
is
This is
gonna
what
ask
I'm
for
saying, what I'm
something.
saying here
I'm
is,
just telling you what they're gonna ask for.
I understand, that's why I would, once all the above is accomplished, it's usually a relatively simple matter for the town attorney and my attorney to put this all together. So,
But I think, Chris, he's talking about giving you part of that road, or what was the road. He's not talking about what you want to do with that as far as like a subdivision. That's not his department. I don't feel.
When
It's-
you look at-
his thing is the road. That's all he's.
that's all I'm asking for.
Chris, I'm just worried about the day that you or
It
or
could be
whoever
tomorrow.
comes after you.
It could be tomorrow,
wants to
and I have no
say-
problem going to the planning board.
Okay,
All I'm
just
saying
want you
is,
to-
I would like a legal route from the town attorney so that everybody is copacetic.
Well, if you go to the planning board, and then the attorney
And I'll work it
there,
out with him.
and then the attorney there can determine it.
Yeah, I'll work it out with him.
And it will be paid
I'll
through
work
the
it out with the
escrow,
attorney at
it
the
will be
planning
paid
board.
through the
That's
escrow
the best bet.
You got it.
that you provide at the planning board. Now, Chris, there's another question of, when you came in here before, you had you showed a map that showed the taking by the county. Okay?
Yeah, it's
Now,
attached.
he references in here a deed that gives it,
It's attached to this.
yeah, I couldn't make anything out of that, and neither could Jimmy, okay?
I couldn't either.
Well, it was, that's because you don't have a computer and you can't enlarge the file to be able to read it.
I couldn't, Chris, I
the-
couldn't either.
Tiny.
My eyes are really
The
failing.
point I'm trying to make to you, Chris, and you can have your attorney or your surveyor or whoever make sure to check with it, that deed that's mentioned in his letter actually does give it to the town, because you had something that said it was a taking by the county. And I don't want you to be in a situation.
That's why I want to talk to the attorneys. I don't think you can give me the answer. I don't think I can give you the answer.
No, that's
It's a legal issue. So you've given me the permission to speak to your attorney at a public meeting of the planning board.
If you come to the planning board, you will be able to ask the question if you need
Okay.
guidance
Will you do that?
on how to proceed with this. You have the town's blessing as far as we'll turn it over as long as we maintain our 50-foot right-of-way, and the highway department gives us the letter.
I have no problem
No
with
problem.
50-foot right away, and that's in fact the way that I drew the sketch when I first came to you.
And in the discussion with the attorney, the town attorney, that will be paid out of the escrow that you apply when you apply for the lot line.
That's
adjustment.
all, standard procedure, I don't need to be reminded of that. And of course, I'll certainly pay an escrow if there's one required.
Okay.
And they can let you know at that point, yeah. It should be pretty simple. You just have to go through the process.
Okay. I'll clarify with the attorney, thank you very much.
Next Wednesday,
Week after.
the second Wednesday, yeah.
Second Wednesday.
I get confused
I'll see you
sometimes.
there.
Okay.
Okay,
You'll understand it.
Ray, you're up.
Got it.
Oh, yes.
No? You done?
I got nothing.
Nothing? All right.
Just came for amusement.
All right, Mary, anything?
I think I'd like to do another challenge, for, making a donation to the town to be matched.
Really?
Yeah. 5,000.
Very nice. 5,000.
5,000.
Wow, all right.
Do you think you can make that by, get donations to match that by November 1st?
By November 1st.
I'm sure that two of the 5,000 can be met in November 1st. Because I'll write the check at our next meeting.
I don't see any issue with that.
All right.
I don't know
Very
about the
nice.
Gotta
other
keep
two.
track of it, Mary.
Thank
By
you.
November 1st?
November 1st.
I got it right here, 5,000 by November 1st, to match. All right, we can do that. Well, thank you very much
For
for
the
that.
park.
Certainly
That's
appreciate
great,
that.
thank you very much.
Mark down.
Because any attempts to
Two
do
of
this
the funders
anonymously
will-
just suck.
Well, at least you're not on camera doing it.
Okay. Very good. And Bob says he's gonna do the same. Right?
Another 5,000?
I'm gonna provide 2,000, but the 5,000 is gonna be matched.
Very nice. Well, thank you very much for that. We certainly appreciate that.
I'll check back with you in November.
Oh, absolutely. Very nice.
That's
Thank you.
terrific, thank you.
Okay.
Now, what happens if we only get 4,000 matched? You
I
use
only
the four.
match the 4,000.
Okay, I mean, you're not gonna cancel.
I
the whole
won't
thing.
cancel the whole thing out.
Yeah, it's like Alan Shartok and holding back time.
All right. Well, that's a great way to end the night on. If anybody has anything, anybody have anything else? If not,
Move to adjourn.
motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Uh,
Was that Bob?
Opposed?
Chris?
Carried. Thank you.